Association extends heartiest welcome to our Honorable Principal Sir Dr. Anil Sardana, Teacher in Charge Ms. Kalpana Gupta, our convener Ms. Aarti Seni, our session moderator Ms. Pooja, and our very eminent speaker Dr. Rahul Pratap Singh Kaurav. Before we begin with the webinar, I, Kashish from the Commerce Association, would like to request our Honorable Principal Sir to share his vision.
Well, it's very delightful to address this webinar. I've done many others at different level in our college also. You know why? Because I am viewing and interacting with both the teacher in charge, outgoing teacher in charge as well as incoming teacher in charge. And both are committed towards the growth of the department in the presence of committed teachers. So my congratulations to Dr. Kalpana Gupta to begin with at the outset for successfully completing the tenure. At the same time, welcome to Dr. Anil Kumar, a young dynamic teacher as well as a leader in its own way, has been representing staff association, staff and staff council secretary and at many other committees, successfully conducted last year's seminar also. And I am also thankful to Dr. Rahul Pratap Singh, who is working as an assistant professor with the Prestige Institute in Gwalior. And I feel I was going through his biodata and his contribution and learning in different fields. Learning in different fields is really appreciable, and more appreciable is his commitment towards sharing it with the society. Sharing it with the society and helping the people to understand what he has understood from different sources. For this, I really specifically put a appreciation for you, Dr. Rahul. At this young age, you are becoming so popular speaker as well as you are being received by the people, and people are looking forward to your teaching on bibliometric analysis, which is very important as on date, because as our convener, Aarti Seni has taken up the job of organizing webinars on various, how to develop the research, how to develop, strengthen, and improve the quality of the research in the college. And in the process, we are training other people also, because there are so many who are joining, and the number of people who are joining to Shahid Bhagat Singh College webinars is increasing day by day through different webinars. We had in last webinar 150, 120, and so on. And slowly the number will increase depending upon interest of the people and the size and type of the topic. I always said that I'm sharing with the world at large that Shahid Bhagat Singh College is going to lead in this respect, and we are going to develop the communities in the field of, say, marketing, management, finance, entrepreneurship, and so on, so that those people who are interested to learn about those particular subjects, we will be organizing, we will be inviting the specialists from different part of the world or nation, and they will be sharing their experiences and they will be sharing their knowledge to the rest of the world, because we believe that caring and sharing is the real motto of life. If we share our knowledge with others, the knowledge always increase, and we always feel that we have done our purpose in the life. So without coming in between the speaker and the learned audience, various professors in this matter, I welcome once again the guest of the day, Dr. Rahul, and I once again reiterate and thank my gratitude as well as appreciation, put it on record, for Dr. Kalpana Gupta, and I am sure, more than confident, that Dr. Anil Kumar is going to take it really to the new heights of excellence. Aarti, please keep doing good work along with the team of your students. I'm very happy with them. Since you are saying that it is the last webinar, there's never a last webinar. It is always a journey. In journey, we'll all be together. You will be always there, Dr. Kalpana Gupta, and so will be our teachers. Yes, our students are going to graduate. They are going to become our alumnus. They will be our illustrious alumnus. We will always remember them, that they have performed very, very well while being there in the college. Aarti, please mark a special appreciation for them and issue them very good certificate and appreciation letter to them, so that they remember us and we remember them. All the best to all of you. Enjoy your session. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your kind words. I would now like to request our esteemed teacher in charge, Dr. Kalpana Gupta, to address the gathering.
Hello, now I'm audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Kashish. Thank you, Sardana sir, for the cooperation you have given me during this tenure, because this was a very challenging year because of the COVID. So we had to work very hard for this year, but it went very well under your leadership. Thank you very much. Now I welcome Dr. Rahul Pratap Singh for the talk that we are going to have today for the understanding bibliometric analysis using bibliography. This is the fifth webinar of the series, and Aarti has taken a very good initiative wherein we are having the webinars on the different types of research methodology. So I welcome you, and I welcome all the delegates that have joined from all over India today for this webinar. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I would like to appreciate the Commerce Association team under the convenership of Ms. Aarti Saini, who have done this webinar series and brought the laurel to the Commerce Department under my in-chargeship. And thank you for all of this. Thank you very much. Thank you. All the best to all the students, because now they will be the alumnus of the college. So all the best to all of you. Thank you. Thank you, Aarti. Thank you, Kashish. I welcome all.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your kind words. Now, let me introduce you to our honorable speaker, Dr. Rahul Pratap Singh Kaurav. Dr. Rahul Pratap Singh Kaurav is an assistant professor with prestige. He is a pioneer in research methodology, marketing research, data analytics, managerial economics, marketing management, services marketing, and tourism concepts, economics, marketing. He is professionally acquired trainer for quantitative and qualitative software of research and others. He has published 20 research papers in national and international journals of repute, starting with ABDC, Scopus, ABS, and WOS, along with his admired for his publishing for five full papers as chapters in edited books and more than 20 research papers in conference proceedings. He had some visiting assignments with IITTM Gwalior and IITTM Noida. He is associated with the online program of University of Liverpool, USA as DBA thesis supervisor and BITS Pilani as an adjunct faculty. Today, he will be sharing his wisdom on understanding bibliometric analysis using biblioshiny. Bibliometrics is the use of statistical methods to analyze books, articles, and other publications. Bibliometric methods are frequently used in the field of library and information science. It describes patterns of publication within a given field or body of literature. Now, before we begin with the webinar, I request all the participants to please ensure that your microphone and video are turned off during the webinar. We also request you to refrain from writing anything in the chat box. Also note that we will be having a question and answer session after the lecture, so please share your queries in the chat box for the same. I would now like to request Dr. Rahul Pratap Singh Kaurav to share his insights on the topic.
Thank you, Kashish. I should be thankful to everyone in the organizing committee. A special thanks to Dr. Aarti and everyone who is there, like Professor Kalpana, Principal Anil sir, and other members of organizing committee. I'm thankful to everyone. So let's begin today's discussion. I'll start with a small question. You can unmute you and then mute you again. So I'll start with a small question. I want to make a list. What makes a good paper? We have many eminent speakers, many eminent personalities in the group. I was just saying in the classroom. So just help me in understanding what seems to be, what makes a good paper. Can you please, you can even type in the chat box if you're not able to unmute yourself. This will help everyone to understand what this is about, what I'm going to talk today. Okay, so Professor Lina is about saying this is the first thing is good literature review. Okay, good research problem. Strong literature review, representation of an idea, robust method, analysis. Good. There are even lots of things. I am not even able to type the things, but still, methods make a paper good, and discussion makes a paper good. And fifth thing is fruitful results. Okay, I'll just type results. Forgive me if I make any spelling mistake while typing fast. So I'm apologizing in the beginning. Like if you find Dr. Anil Kumar is saying crystal clear concept of the research problem. Yes, crystal clear concept of a research problem. I believe this one is again repeating here. I'll pose a second question. What makes a researcher or what makes a paper to be more readable? What do you think? What are the things which like a young research scholar or maybe a student or maybe a PhD scholar or maybe a senior professor, what they looks at before starting reading any paper? This is a topic. The first table, yes, a good abstract, right? I'll make another table. Is one is good abstract. Second is identifying research gap. Good. Third thing is contemporary issues. Fourth thing is interesting introduction. Okay. And what else? Concurrent idea or maybe current idea, right? I think most of the participants are very senior academician. That is why they are not able to understand the pain of young researcher. Like, let me share my story. When I was a young researcher, my supervisor, generally each supervisor tells this to their students, to their scholars, to their member of the research fraternity that go to the library, download some good number of papers. So when one starts downloading the good number of papers, what they does, they start downloading and they download the papers blindly. So I'll just type my interest of topic like internal marketing and start searching everything, whatever I receive, I download them and put them in a one folder, put them in one bucket. And later, like when it is not the internet connection may be not available, or when in the free time, I'll start reading the papers. And I again make two folder out of them. One is the papers readable, which I'll be using for my PhD thesis, and second one is the paper may be useful, but I'm not going to read them. I find very difficult. So I'll share you one report. This report is generated by Gartner. Gartner is very, I should say, Gartner is having a major this part, reporting, business analytics, and everything. As per their report, they have made two tables. What researchers or what young researchers looks at a research paper. So first thing is yes, abstract. But the second thing is language. Third thing is figures. Fourth thing is tables. And fifth thing is fluency. When I looked at this table, when I looked at this report, I was surprised to see because there is nobody is talking about impact factor. Nobody is talking about a research problem. No. So yeah, young researcher looks at what I personally believe. A young researcher looks at personally is a language first, because when they start reading abstract, the first criteria of reading the abstract is again language. Then second importance will be given to abstract, true. And more of these, when they dive deep into the figure, dive deep into this research, they find figures are very interesting. And if they find the interesting figure, I read this more than language and abstract. And if they find some tables, then probably they find it very interesting. And fluency, I personally believe, is more important. But what young researcher looks at, The first thing, if I accumulate this table, the first thing is language, the second thing is abstract, and the third thing, which is again more important than language and abstract, is figures. So you might have observed the papers which get more citations. I just verified this through Google Scholar or some other platform. The papers which has got more citations or more readability or more downloads probably have more figures and more tables and everything. So in that way, I find bibliometric analysis is a very useful tool in this particular dimension, because this produces a lots of figures, this produces a lots of what should I say, tables, this produces lots of very interesting things. So that is why let us start today. What is bibliometric analysis? Can you see my screen? My screen is visible, bibliometric analysis, the full screen. Okay. Right. So let us start first. What bibliometric analysis is all about? What one need to be careful, what one need to think about this. So most of the research scholars, most of the young scholars does have a dilemma that bibliometric analysis is a qualitative analysis and it does not have it does not have much to say. So let me refrain with this doubt. Bibliometric analysis is a statistical analysis, the statistical analysis of bibliographic data, which is commonly focused on citation analysis and research output. What my earlier researcher have done, how they have looked at the problem. So I need not to worry about what is the problem. I need not to worry about what is the hypothesis. I need to worry about probably my problem, and my fear is about whether, again a spelling mistake, whether the problem is researched, problem is well researched or not. This is my first important question, which I generally answer with the help of bibliometric analysis. I need to look at, with the help of different data, with the help of different structures, I need to look at what is the earlier use of bibliometric methods. What is the frequency of the library and information sciences? I need to understand about years before, about 20 years before, most of the bibliometric papers were from the library sciences, were from the library and information sciences domain. But nowadays, it is trending in every domain. You just name the domain. Psychology, school education, higher education, marketing, management, human resources. You might be able to see the journals from A-star category to any other category, ABS category, any listed category. They are publishing papers based on bibliometric analysis. I did not mean to say that papers only based on bibliometric analysis, but their major part is actually based on bibliometric analysis. And we need to understand this is a quantitative analysis of academic literature. Please do understand, this is a quantitative analysis of academic literature, not the quantitative analysis of magazines, not the quantitative analysis of newspaper article, political documents, and any other document. Again, apologize if I make any spelling mistake because of my fast typing speed. So this is not for magazine, newspaper, political documents, and any other form. Bibliometric analysis is a quantitative method, is a quantitative analysis of academic literature, because academic literature, one research scholar was asking why these are only about academic literature, why not about magazine? But documentation of magazine is not good. Probably the India Today in 1991 was published, but might not be available today. But academic documents were published even in 1850s, even in 1890s, even before that, they are available. So academic literature is properly documented, is well documented. That is why we look for academic literature. Citation analysis is commonly used as bibliometric method, which is based on constructing the citation graph. The citation graphs and networks, and that is why a very popular software you might have heard about WOS Viewer. The full form of WOS is Visualization and Similarities. The full, very popular software WOS Viewer has emerged with this. Many research field use bibliometric method to explore the impact of their field. What is the impact? How people are looking. So for researchers, for young researchers, this could be a two ways help. Say for example, I'm more interested in investigating. Just for example, I'm more interested in investigating effect of, say for example, customer satisfaction. Though it is more researched. Customer satisfaction on customer loyalty. This could be the question. So this could help me in two ways. Maybe during RDC, or maybe during other research activities, my supervisor or maybe other experts ask me why you are looking for customer satisfaction. So you may have two different ideas to answer to respond this question. This is I'm going to handle a very important question. Please listen it carefully, because customer maybe one expert can ask me why customer satisfaction is important. Why do you consider? Why you are studying it? So most of the time when you are writing a rationale of your thesis, I was looking at several PhD theses. I received a few PhD theses to evaluate. So when those are very funny, even in Indian context. One PhD scholar from Delhi has written a rationale. The question was why you have selected NCR as your area. Why you have selected these human resources policies for your as your research topic. She has answered, sir, as a female, I am a female, and I did not move out of the NCR region. That is why I selected NCR as a area of study. As I am a female, I cannot go to market and shop by shop or door to door, or cannot survey. That is why I selected human resources area, because here I have to meet to the human resource executive. I said, I'm sorry, I did not understand what is the rationale. This is your personal limitation. These are the limitations of researcher, not the rationale. And most of the time in Indian context, people write it wrongly. So therefore, we need to understand the rationale is about. You can say, you can respond your expert, sir, I'm researching this particular topic because I find customer impact of customer satisfaction on customer loyalty is increasing, not even in India, throughout the world, not even in India, throughout the world, but customer satisfaction on customer loyalty, the studies are continuously increasing throughout the world, and this is the ratio. For about by the 10% ratio, these studies are increasing. That is why I'm conducting this. This could be one way of handling this situation. Second way of handling this situation is you can respond them that this is the over-researched area, or maybe when somebody asks you, you are investigating customer satisfaction on customer loyalty, you did not find it important, the impulse buying or the impulse satisfaction or store atmosphere or anything, you did not find it. You can say that this was over-researched area. Everyone is researching on this. That is why I thought to take a new area which is emerging. So you could handle your rationale of thesis, rationale of the studies in two ways, which is more appropriate, and nobody will question why you have taken this. The question will remain always, yes, I have taken this and this was my justification. If you remember a very popular quote from one of the movie, I just forget the name of movie. Everything is fair in love and war. Have you heard about this quote? Like, have you heard about this dialogue? Not a quote actually. Everything is fair in love and war. I believe many of you have heard. I have extended this quote and I simply say, everything is fair in love, war, and research, but you must have an appropriate justification. If you do have appropriate justification, then it is fair in research. If you do not have an appropriate justification, your reviewer will reject your argument. Your reviewer will say, you are doing something which is useless. Right? So everything is fair, but you need to understand what is the justification, what could be the good criteria of saying this. It is not like that this is what I wanted. I personally like subject marketing. That is why I am researching in marketing. I think you have got a fair idea about Ms. Manvi is saying here this. Okay, not a question. I believe you must have a good you must got a good idea about bibliometric analysis. If you want to click a screenshot of this screen, you can click here. Otherwise, I'll be removing everything. Okay, done. So this is what probably defining bibliometric analysis. I believe this work is already done by Kashish in the beginning. Kashish has already defined this is a biblio means books, matrix means measurement, and it is a statistical analysis of published articles based on citations to measure the impact, how they are impacting, how they are. Okay, that's very interesting question. How it is different from meta. Okay, let me tell you something. Meta analysis, it is far different from meta analysis. There are few concepts: SLR, meta, bibliometric. These are the three concepts which are commonly used interchangeably. But this is I personally believe this is the biggest confusion. SLR is a tree, systematic literature review is a tree, and meta-analysis and bibliometric analysis are two different branches of a single tree, right? So we need not to confuse that meta and bibliometric are similar. No, meta and bibliometric are two different branches, and these are two different branches of SLR, systematic literature review. So please, you need not to confuse. We need to understand SLR is a bigger thing where everything is included. There are lots of framework for SLR. The very popular framework is Prisma method. You might have heard about. Then after Prisma, ADO method is there, TMCC method. There are lots of methods for SLR. Meta is a completely different methodology to identify the cumulative effect of whatever has been done. And bibliometric is understanding how this is getting important in maybe in public domain, or maybe in academic domain, or maybe in industry domain. So bibliometric is identifying importance, whereas meta is cumulative effect. Right. So I'll go further. I'll not. Okay. So these are some important definition of bibliometric analysis. Prickard is very important author. Prickard, I personally find, if you read a paper of bibliometric analysis and Prickard is not cited, probably this is an incomplete paper, because Prickard has done very important work related to bibliometric analysis. And let me give you one tip here. If you do not know top 10 authors of your related domain, top 10 journals of your related domain, of your theme, of your subject, top 10 authors and journals. Authors and journals from India. Probably I personally find if you do not know, if you do not have answer of these three questions, your efforts in research is probably has been less. This is my personal opinion. Because at all towards the end, you have to face interviews, you have to face lots of things. So please whatever field of investigation, whatever field of research you are adopting. You might not be interested in bibliometric analysis, but if you perform bibliometric analysis for your personal use, not for a research paper, you will be able to understand who are the top 10 authors, which are the top 10 journals, which are the top 10 authors and journals from Indian context, or maybe from any other country where you are applying for funding, where you are applying for postdoctoral. So this will help you a lot. And one of the student a few days before was asking, sir, this is very new method, this is very new phenomena which we are discussing. So I've just looked at it. The very recent, the most recent paper which is published into the academic domain. I'm not talking about unpublished manuscripts. The most recent, the most old paper which is published here was published in 1896, right? So this was about bibliometric analysis basics. We need to understand these three, four important terms. These seems to be similar to the bibliometrics, like scientometrics. In a specific, if you want to cover, if you want to cover the science in general, not just the publication. If you are looking for a theme, then it is called as scientometrics. And scientometrics is also a name of journal which is very popular for publishing the papers based on bibliometric analysis. Infometrics, all information subject, and if those informations are available web platform, then those are known as cybermetrics. I'll not spend much time here because these are simple words. Okay, so how a research scholar can use bibliometric analysis for their studies, like demonstration of importance, the impact of your own research, maybe what area I'm looking for, what is my idea to understand, the importance and impact of your own research. It is not own research does not mean always your own paper. Own research may be related papers. Identifying areas of research strength. Identifying areas of research strength and maybe weakness. Why my area, whatever topic I have, maybe the sensory marketing, maybe financial inclusion. What is the strength of my topic? What is the strength of my subject? And what are the weakness? What they have researched more and what they have not researched yet. The top researchers in your subject area. This answers you a very interesting thing. The past, present, and you can also predict the forecast. You can also predict the future of publishing trend. And you study about the productivity of institution. Nowadays, this productivity of institution is very important. It's getting very important even in Indian context. Earlier, this was not important in Indian context. You might have heard about NIRF ranking. So if you're publishing well, this NIRF ranking will be improved. So nowadays, institutions are also very concerned about the bibliometric analysis. They are also very interested in bibliometric analysis. And to get in top tier journals, this is most important topic. Why I particularly promoting bibliometric analysis in Indian context, because we have less number of research papers in Indian context based on bibliometric analysis. I'm still not saying that papers only based on bibliometric analysis, and even if the papers are based on only bibliometric analytics, then they must be leading about more than 40% of the paper should be indicating the futuristic approach, or I should say further direction of the researchers, right? If it is about further directions of the research, probably people will take it more easily. If it is not about further directions of the researchers, probably people will find it, or maybe the reviewers will find it lesser interesting. Let me discuss a few things about what is the advantages. We are discussing a lots of things about advantages and everything. Yeah, the growth of knowledge. It is a straightforward method, since I generally say like we should cite the papers of your friends, the papers from the Indian academic fraternity, the papers from other sources. There's something. Yes, I'll send everyone the PPT. Okay, so what are the advantages of bibliometric analysis? Like the most important advantage, which everyone might be interested, these are quick for publications. Let us understand the limitations of bibliometric analysis. The citation patterns can differ. Like if you remember the fight of two statisticians, Fisher and Marshall. Maybe Fisher has cited the paper. Maybe Fisher has cited the paper of Marshall. Maybe not for praising, just to criticize. But this will be counted as citation. Maybe someone has cited my paper. Maybe someone has cited my paper not to appraise the efforts, not to cite it like this one. This one is a very positive paper on this particular topic, but they might be criticizing. They may cite a negative sense, and even if they cite a negative sense, this will be counted as citation. So this is the biggest challenge. This is the biggest limitation of bibliometric analysis. Let us understand some computer-based tools for software. BibExcel is very old and very popular software. BibExcel is very old and very popular software for bibliometric analysis. HistSite is again very old and very popular, but HistSite was developed by, nowadays they are known as Web of Science. Earlier they are known as, nowadays they are also known as Clarivate Analytics, Web of Science, and other names also. But this HistSite was actually developed by Clarivate Analytics in the earlier days. Since 2015, they have stopped the support of the software, and that is why nowadays the software does not have the recent things, and that is why this is less used nowadays. Otherwise, if you look at the papers before 2015, the most of the users were using HistSite. VOSviewer is getting much popularity nowadays, is very, very popular. Sitespace and Sitenet Explorer, they are also very popular, but they have their several limitations. Probably Gephi and Pajic need network data, which is not available to everyone. And if you want to use Gephi and Pajic, you need to use BibExcel. You need to use HistSite. When you get network data, then only you will be able to use Gephi and Pajic. NVivo is actually NVivo and MaxQDA. These are the software of qualitative analysis. NVivo, MaxQDA, Atlas TI. They can also be used, but they have their own limitations. Publish or Perish, this is less popular software, but is very popular, but is very useful software, because Publish or Perish is the only software which can help you in understanding the data from Google Scholar. No other software supports the data from Google Scholar. And today we will be discussing, today's discussion will be actually based on BiblioShiny software. BiblioShiny is a package. BiblioShiny is a software which is developed on R. You might have heard about R language. And believe me, when I say majority of the academician, this is a software which is based on language and coding and every other thing, and it is based on R. Most of you personally find this is we need to learn coding, then only you will be able to learn. This is a completely graphical user interface software. You need very basic programming skills, very basic. In fact, not even basic, not even at basic level. Not even at basic level you need programming language skills. That is why we'll be discussing BiblioShiny tool today. And this is BiblioShiny is very popular, is getting very popular. This is very recent, produce or develops and generates lots of graphs and lots of tables, and you'll be able to understand this is very interesting. So this was about bibliometric analysis. Even there are lots of things which can be discussed, but due to paucity of time, I think we should move to hands-on experience so that you'll be able to understand what is BiblioShiny app. Okay, please use chat box only for posting questions and everything. Do not post your email IDs here. Yes, you can use, you can post queries in the chat box. If you post queries, that will help everyone. If you post email ID, that will not help everyone, in fact, distract everyone. Okay, so do you have any specific question you can post into the chat box, and you can also unmute yourself, and you can ask a one-to-one question also. Can't hear, am I not audible?
Sir, you're audible.
Okay. Do you have any specific questions, or you want me, okay, or you want me to unmute yourself? Or even you can type your question into the chat box. Otherwise, I'll move to the hands-on experience.
Sir, we will have a question answer round later, so you can solve the queries then.
Okay, thank you. Okay, meantime, they have posted one question: limitations of publish or perish. Actually, this is not a limitation of publish or perish. This is a limitation of Google Scholar, because Google Scholar generally offers the repetitive and duplicative data. And though because it is offering in free, that is why this is a limitation with every one of us. If you do not have access of Web of Science or other suitable platform, probably you find it very challenging. So lots of manual work has to be done with the, if you are doing it with publish or perish, or if you are extracting the data from Google Scholar. So here is a YouTube channel, research and productivity tool. Lots of stuff on BiblioShiny or other bibliometric analysis is available here. You can use this channel. You can look at, I'm having separate playlist like this one. BiblioShiny package using BiblioShiny, bibliometric analysis using BiblioShiny, and bibliometric analysis using WASPviewer. So there are separate playlists for this bibliometric analysis. So let us start first how to download BiblioShiny, how to start working with BiblioShiny. So first on Google Scholar, on simple Google, you need to search CRAN-R project. If you search CRAN-R project, this is the first website, CRAN-R Archive Network. Based on download R for Windows or R for Mac. If you are using a laptop from, or maybe a Mac store or Mac app something. If you are using Linux base, then you can do that also. This is from here, you will be able to download a setup of R, and you can simply download. After downloading and installing R, we need to search for R Studio. So you need to download R Studio download. If you search R Studio download on Google, the first website is download R Studio. The first website is download R Studio, and if you drag it down, R Studio desktop, this free version we need to download. Or if you find it uncomfortable, or your laptop is having or desktop is having lesser memory, then you can skip R Studio also. But R Studio is more user friendly than R language. That is why we generally prefer using R Studio. Otherwise, the same language, otherwise the same codes can be used for on the R platform also. So if you find it is not, you are not comfortable using R Studio, you can use directly R also. And after looking at these two websites, we will go to the website bibliometrics.org. This is the website. Bibliometrics.org. If you go to their website, this is the basic interface. If you go to the download and the stable version, but believe me, you will not be able to download it from here, because you have to download it from R package. And they have already given you the instructions, the command, right? So when you are ready with R and R Studio, let me share R Studio again. Yes. So this one is a platform of R Studio. Towards the left hand side, this is a command prompt, or this is a command version. Only these three commands I need to learn, and in fact, I can copy and paste them anywhere for my memory. Not more than these three commands are needed using R. So towards the left, it is a command prompt, or it is also known as language prompt, or the source code prompt, source code console. Towards the right, whatever I'll be doing, this will be showing me my outputs and everything, and this is about console. Right bottom is about packages, whatever installed. Left is about environment, what software is needed and what other variables I'm using, and everything will be shown in towards the bottom left. So for installing, when you install RStudio, for installing, this is the basic command. If you want, I can show you in Microsoft Word also, so that you can see them. Yes. I believe now the commands are easily can be seen. You need to understand, you need to remember these install.packages within the inverted quotes is bibliometrics, then library bibliometrics, then biblioshiny. That's it. If you are using these three commands, first thing, just select this one and click here on run. I'm not doing it because this will need some internet connection for me before running this, because it will start downloading, and when it will start downloading, probably you find this is a bit challenging. This is a bit difficult because speed of my internet will be slow. So just select this and click on run. Then after this, no internet will be needed. I will select library and will click on run. Okay. Then I will select biblioshiny and will click on run. This will redirect me to a Google Chrome page. This will redirect me to a Google Chrome page. This page. Yes. And this is a completely graphical user interface. You can look at the commands at top. You can look at everything here. Right? I'll show you how to use this package, biblioshiny, the Shiny app of bibliometric. I'll show you how these things can be done. In the meantime, when I'll be showing you other things, if you want to look at how to install, and if you have stuck at any point, go to this channel and this playlist, bibliometric analysis using biblioshiny. The first video is about biblioshiny setting environment and configuring. You can use this video, and this video will help you in installing everything. Right. I'll show you how to extract the data using Web of Science platform or using Scopus. I believe most of you have attended a program on Scopus and other tools. This is a Web of Science platform. It is a not free platform. Generally institutions and universities setup does have access and will give you the subscription. So let us understand how to start searching. So can you help me in understanding your research area? I'll do it on your research area, not my research area. Okay, Abhinav sir is asking about what is a Scopus? Scopus is a database. Scopus, Web of Science, Juster, these all are databases which will help me in extracting databases. Okay, Dr. Kunjana is volatility spillover. I didn't hear this word, volatility spillover, but still I'll try this one seems to be new one. So I'll select it here, volatility spillover. I'm not sure how much papers I'll receive on this topic. And after copying and pasting or maybe typing volatility spillover, I'll click on search. and you will find that volatility spillover. There are, can you see this? 2,249 papers you have you find volatility spillover. Can you see this? 2,249. Probably I find it a bit difficult to understand, to identify, to read 2,000, more than 2,000 papers. So what I can do, in fact, this is a problem with all the research scholars. Even these tricks will help you on Google Scholar also. So if I make a double quotes around the volatility spillover, and click on search, see how much those have been reduced. What is the difference? Earlier, when I simply typed volatility spillover, this has taken volatility as one word. I'm sorry. Volatility is one word. And then spillover is another word. But when I put them into the inverted quote, they have been considered as a single word and everywhere. Otherwise, what will happen if you put them without double quote? This will search papers on volatility spillover as a first word. Then this will search papers which are having volatility. Then this will search papers which are having spillovers. Right? So these could be the ways, these could be the tricks. Let me take one more example from whatever is given. Okay, Pramita is asking for user-generated contents. I'll show you one more example here. User-generated contents, and search. Oh my God, more than 10,000 papers you are getting user-generated contents. What is the algorithm of this? First, this will be searching papers on user-generated contents. Now you can see the first paper is based on user-centered design, but this is considered user also, right? So then this will also search some papers on user, then generated, then contents, and there is a huge number of these papers. And look at the difference when I put double quotes here. Only 315. Now this becomes easy. Now your life is converted from hell to heaven. Right. The user generated content. So say, for example, you have more than 2 variables. So can you help me in getting more than 2 variables here? Anyone with more than 1 variable? Customers experience and destination marketing. Okay. I select one variable as destination marketing and another variable as customer experience. So we'll type and this. And we'll click on search. Okay, probably not customer experience. We need to look for customer experience only. 18,000. Who has given me the this keyword customer experience? Can you please give me one more variable with customer experience? Okay, customer experience with maybe word of mouth or maybe with store display. Customer experience, and this one seems to be better. Customer buying behavior. This seems to be a good one. Only 309 papers. And can you see if I put double quote on both the keywords. Okay, maybe the spelling of behavior is a problem. Okay, this is showing some problem. Maybe I need to put them as an algorithm. Okay, maybe they do not have related customer experience and everything. I need to change my keyword or something. Maybe I'll go to the last one, user generated contents. And when I click that user generated contents, then I can put end as tourism and search. You'll find only 20 papers. You can see comprehending 20 papers are a bit easy than in comparison to 10,000 papers. Maybe user generated contents in maybe e-market or e-commerce website, or you can use any other variable using two codes of this. But please do remember what mistake I was doing. I understood later late. These and need to be used in capitals. If you're typing and into the small words, then they will consider this database or every other their algorithm will consider and is also as a keyword. Okay, Raisava is helping good choice overload and destination. Okay, choice overload and destination. Let me see how many papers I'll receive. I'll receive only 21 papers. That's very important question from Ms. Ritu Jain. How many papers we need? That's very critical question. I do understand you'll not be able to consider more than 100 paper, and this is already generating more than 500, 600 and 700 papers. But as a minimum, you need to have about approx 100 papers for a good bibliometric analysis paper. For a good bibliometric analysis paper, if I click choice overload and destination, you can see the number of papers has been reduced only up to 6. Right, so these are the keywords given by you, which I searched. I generally search for rural tourism. Look at here, how many number of papers you'll get. 5,000. Rural tourism and India. Only 6 papers. Okay, I'll put only rural tourism and let us see. Again 2,000. Rural tourism and sustainable. 701 paper. This could be an interesting thing. So let me understand how to export this data for usage. So I'll click here on export. This will ask me in which format you wanted to export. So I want to export in other file format. I'll click on other file format. Because there is a limitation of I'll be able to export only 500 papers. Even if I select all records from 1 to 701, this will give me one error. I need full details. Okay, if I click on export, see, only 500 records at a time can be exported. So I need to select 500 papers and export. Right. Towards the bottom, you can see the file has been extracted by the name of SafeDrag7. I will rename this file SafeDrag7, just for example, rural and sustain. Okay. I'll go to the BiblioShiny app, which is available here. Can you see this BiblioShiny app? Let us look at the basic interface of this app also. If you have any question related to exporting the data, what if within inverted comma written papers that are very few as the topic is new or emerging? Yes, that's true. If the topic is new and emerging, then it is very sure that your this inverted quotes will return you very less number of papers. This is very sure. But you can use other keywords or maybe other variables which are researched together for getting enough chunk for your research. Okay, one question is from Dr. Raisava. If we get less papers with some keywords, does it mean more research requires? Yes. And in that, but in sometimes we need at least 100 papers for bibliometrics. So matching with additional keywords can help me. Yes, this will surely help you. This will surely help. Like matching common variable, yes. Say for example, sensory marketing in store atmosphere or visual display. So these keywords will help you in getting a good chunk of enough chunk of papers. So this is a basic first interface when you'll find Google Chrome with the BiblioShiny app. This is the very important paper. Let me zoom it in. I believe now it is readable. This is very important paper. The paper from whom the persons who have developed this BiblioShiny app. This paper is written by them and is considered very important. If you have read this paper, probably lots of queries will be answered. Here they have written several features, the workflow. They have also given some sample data for your rehearsal. So if you do not have access of Web of Science or other platform, they have also given some bibliometric websites and some data. Maybe here, download the examples and you can play with this data. In fact, if you go to the website, if you go to this video, the first video of BiblioShiny, you'll find I have given two sample data for you if you want to play with the data. Okay, and this is their basic structure of the paper. This is the basic structure of BiblioShiny or bibliometric analysis. What could be done? So first you need to load the data, then you need to describe the descriptive of bibliometric analysis. Descriptive means number of papers, things which are hidden, number of authors, average number of authors, time range and everything. So these are known as descriptive. Like in primary research, we know number of males and females, the ratio of married and single. But in case of bibliometric analysis, the descriptive is number of papers. The descriptive analysis is number of papers, number of authors, the time frame, and lots of things are given. Then documents and their attributes, like normalization source index and documents and attributes, we'll be able to see when we'll be looking at in depth several laws of bibliometric analysis. And when you look at several laws, you will be surprised to see what this software is about. This software is, I personally believe this software can do wonders for you. Like in primary database research, we do data reduction with the help of EFA, exploratory factor analysis and all. Here, we do not have EFA approach, but we have PCA, principal component analysis, multi-dimensional scaling, and clustering analysis, and lots of tools are available here also. And for network analysis, these are the tools which are available in this software. Again, based on normalization. See here. And then for mapping purpose, you need factorial map, the dendrogram, the semantic maps, and these many maps will be introduced. I need to introduce only the basics of the software, and I believe when you start playing with the software, you'll be surprised to see the functionality of this package. So I'll start first. I'll go to the, after this welcome app, I'll go to the data. We'll import and load files. Towards the left hand panel, please choose what to do. There are two options: import raw file or load bibliometric data. So we do not have bibliometric data. Bibliometric data when we have RIS file format. We have only file format in text. So import raw data. This will ask me from which platform you have exported data. So Web of Science, Scopus, Dimension, PubMed, and Cochrane Library. These are 4-5 options. I'll select Web of Science because I have extracted the data from Web of Science. File format is plain text. If you remember, while exporting the data from Web of Science, I selected the plain text. When I click on browse, if you see, I've given the file of the name of file is rural and sustainability. I'll select here. When it is written upload complete, you need to click on start. Because there are 500 papers, so this will take fractions of second. And you can see that your data is prepared. Can you see this? Author's name is here, AF and DF, it is their code. While reading the paper, you will be understanding these 500 papers will be given here. Like these are only 1 to 50, and you can explore these 10 pages and 500 papers you can see here. And you can see the type of information is available. Their abstract and everything will be available here. Can you see this? Which university they belongs to, their DOI, when they were published, when they were communicated. Can you see these number, their journal name, the language of source, number of citations, forward linkages, backward linkages. Ample data is available here. Let me help you in understanding. Let me help you in understanding how to write methodology of these papers. So for writing a methodology, only 2 clicks and you will be able to write methodology. Do you want to see this magic? Only 2 clicks and your methodology will be here. Okay, there are a good number of questions. I think there are lots of questions which need to be answered. Okay, I'll try to answer here. Sir, how to filter if we have same set of papers in Scopus as well as in Web of Science? You need to use only one platform, either the Scopus or the Web of Science. Otherwise, this will be offering very conflicting information. Web of Science is having less number of papers, and Scopus is having large number of papers, large number of journals. Most of the journals who are indexed in Web of Science, I'm not saying each, most of the papers who are indexed in Web of Science are indexed in Scopus already. So if you are using both the data, this will be providing you very conflicting data, very conflicting number of citation, number of everything will be much conflicting. Though the international academia people have started writing on mixed methodology, they have started mixing the papers from both the database, or what is the best practice, what personally I believe, you can start comparing two different sources. Like this is the sources of Web of Science and these are the sources of Scopus. So you can compare those. Okay, from Shweta Gautamji, we have a question, sir, what to do if we want to use 2 databases like Scopus and Web of Science? I just answered this question. Manviji, this means that we can search with the help of dependent and independent variables to narrow down your RSAT. True. So, if you want to narrow down, otherwise you will be lost in a number of papers and number of material, number of sources. If I believe if the papers are very less, we won't need bibliometrics. Maybe the manual processing can be done. Yes. If the number of papers are only about 10, 20, or maybe 25, or maybe up to 50, you can manually process, you can manually prepare the same table using Microsoft Excel and other things. But again, that will need manual efforts. but this BiblioShiny will reduce your efforts. You won't believe those type of efforts, what type of efforts it is reducing for you. Okay. Then there is a question from Vikas Sharma ji. How can we deal with the new problem on which we want to write thesis or research papers when enough number of data is not available or LR is less available? Because I personally believe there is no theme which is having this less number of papers that a bibliometric analysis cannot be done. Yes, but what I personally believe, their names can be different. Like, let me pose you as one question. One of my student once asked me, like, I'm giving you a very funny example. He said, I want to do something which nobody has done before. So I said, then you will not be considered as a researcher, then you will be considered as scientist. And if you want to be a scientist, then you need to visit other labs. Probably I'm not a suitable person for that. He said, sir, I want to do something on Jan Dhan scheme of Prime Minister Modi ji. No other country of the world is having the same scheme, and that is why my paper will be the only paper. I said, okay, but other countries might not have Jan Dhan scheme, but might have social financial welfare schemes. So we need to understand whatever name I'm considering, maybe others are using the different name. So this could be other way to look at the problem. Okay. So I'll handle rest of the questions just after a few more minutes. So your methodology of the paper is just 2 minutes, 2 clicks away. You need to click on data set, then main information. This will take about 30 seconds. And here is your methodology. Here is your methodology. Here is a very interesting table. I'll show you one of the paper which has given methodology using only this. Let me show you that paper first. Then only probably you will be able to believe me. You will start believing me. Yes. So this is a paper, how Web of Science is shaping the researches on publications on wine tourism, a bibliometric analysis approach. This paper we are presenting in one of the conference in Greece. Introduction and everything is written. Can you see the methodology part about the database? Only this table is given, and rest all the things are explanation of this part. See, for over 40 years, the database of Web of Science of Thomson Reuters, Web of Science was the only one allowed type of bibliometric analysis and multidisciplinary character. This part of the paper described the data were presented on wine tourism. Can you see this? The objective was to create a descriptive quantitative analysis to present from 2000 to 2020 papers. See the time span, right? The web technology created in 1960 and owned by Thomson Reuters. This is a bit introduction about Thomson Reuters or Web of Science. The important things to note in the maximum number of document in the journal is 343. However, the conference proceedings were also in good number, 80. This table, main information, the number of papers, the number of journals which are having this number of papers, the total number of documents, average year of publication. Every paper has journeyed about average 5.5 years of journey, average citation per document. All the papers of wine tourism are having average citation 9.91. Average citation per year per document. References, these are total number of citations, the number of articles, the document type. If you look at the document type, the book reviews, the conference proceeding, number of keywords which are available, number of authors. See, total 916 authors have written 472 papers. Total 1204 times they have appeared. Single authored paper are 82. Multi-authored papers are this one. Like this is all descriptive of methodology, and your methodology is completed in just 2 clicks away. Can you see this? Your methodology of the paper is complete. This main information about the document. Right. So these are the okay. There seems to be a lot of questions into the chat box. Can you share this paper, Abhinavji? Once this paper will publish, I'll surely share this paper. I'm sending. I'm showing you other papers also. Don't worry. Data set tab, main information. Yes, I'll give information. Okay. You want me to repeat the 2 clicks? Okay. Those 2 clicks are here. You need to click on data set and then main information. Once your data is imported and you have clicked on start, click on data set and main information. Once you click on main information, these are the information, these are the tables which are available with you. And you can, what you can do, you can copy in as it is format and paste it your Word or anywhere. You can create a CSV file, you can export an Excel file, you can export a PDF file, you can directly give it a print command from here. Right? If I look at what are the other options, annual scientific production. See, I can, when the plot is not available, sometimes this is a software in free, and this must be a finite, from must be a finite number. So this is not a finite number table. So in this case, we'll click on table and you can see 2013, we have 21 article, 2014, we have 47 article, 2020, we have 32 articles. This is the annual number of production. You can use this for writing and interpretation part. Average citation per year. Average citation per year, I have to zoom it down. Can you see this figure? Average citation per year, starting from 2013 to 2019. This time in 2019 or 20, the citations are downing, citations are decreasing. Maybe after completion of 2020, the average citation per year will be increasing. And you can see the table also. In 2013, the documents were this one and citable years, and this way, the mean total citation, the total citation per year. Threefold plot is very complex plot. We'll not discuss it today. We'll discuss it some other times. Sources, what are the most relevant sources? What are the most relevant journals? You can see Sustainability is the journal which has produced, which has published most of the articles on this. Journal of Sustainable Tourism is on second priority. Journal of this Economia, and these are maybe the other language journals. You can reduce the number. If you want to see only 10, you'll be able to see only 10 number of journals here. Okay, this is converted into 7, right? Only 7 number of journals will be here. So the most important, identifying most important journals, most important local cited sources, like the documents which has been locally cited. Tourism management does locally cite most of the papers, annals of the tourism research, and these are the journals which has got local citations, means the citation from their journal itself. Bradford law, there are 4 or 5 laws in bibliometric analysis. Bradford law we can discuss that, but then other laws will be very challenging. You can see most of the papers, most of the important papers, most of the highly cited papers are published by about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 or 11 journals. So most of the important papers are published by maybe 10 or maybe 11 journals. Most of the important papers are published by least number of journals. If this spread could have been greater, probably the number of citation or number of publication could have been greater. So this is known as Bradford law. Bradford law says the important papers are published by very less number of journals. This is Bradford law. There are several other laws, and then source impact. What are these sources doing for me? H index, based on H index or number of sources. If I click on apply, you can see there are lots of indexes, H index, G index, M index. We'll not be able to discuss indexes today. And you can see H index is about 10 of this journal, Sustainability. Based on the papers in Rural tourism. I believe I remember we have papers, imported papers. So yes, rural tourism and sustainability. We have imported papers on. Like this was about sources tab. This was about authors, the most relevant authors. I'll be able to understand Nair V, maybe Bart Cloud, Low MC. These are the authors which are most important authors or which have written most of the documents based on this theme. Most local cited authors, like the authors who have cited their own articles. This anonymous is getting once maybe there is some problem with the data set. Like Sharpley R has produced most of their article has been cited by himself. Bremel B, Lane B, Nunko R, they are citing their own article, local citations. Like author's production over time, the plot will always give you an error, but you can look at this top author's production per year, or maybe a document. This is somewhere in error. Must be in finite number. We have not selected the table in finite number. Lodka's law will not be able to discuss the author's impact. This is very impressive table. Who has produced most impactful paper with the help of H index, G index, and probably with the help of M index, like Nair V. And these 4-5 authors have most of like you can see their H index based on the papers on rural tourism and based on their papers in yes. Most relevant affiliations. This will help you in understanding the most important affiliations, the institutions, the countries, the corresponding author's country, the country's scientific production, which country is performing high on rural tourism and other related dimensions, most cited countries, the countries which are getting most of the citations. Then this index, this tab is about document citation, most global cited documents, most local cited documents. You want to produce word cloud, you want to produce a word map, and instead of we should look at some very insightful plots. Co-occurrence network means co-authors, thematic map, thematic evaluation, factorial analysis. This one is a very impressive map which no other softwares will be able to generate for you. Maybe you might be using Boss Viewer or Jeffrey or Pajek. No other software will be able to produce these type of software. Right? This is a word map on factorial analysis, and you can see there are two important factors. Like if I zoom it out, can you see this? The one is about model satisfaction. The one factor is talking about model satisfaction, behavioral intention, image, consumption, segmentation, tourism and travel. The another, which is very important, which is considered the largest factor of this analysis, is talking about impact, attitude, identity, destination, heritage, sustainable development. So this is a factor analysis. MCA is multi-correspondence analysis. Maybe you might be using correspondence analysis, multi-dimensional scaling. The approach is based on you, but the chart is maybe somewhere different and somewhat different with each other. Can you see this intellectual structure? This is very interesting. Co-citation network and histograph. Co-citation network will generate something. Co-citation network, those who have worked together. The network parameter, the field, because we have 400 papers right now with us, that is why this is taking much time. Otherwise, if the number of papers were less, probably with 300 or 200, this might have taken a lesser time. Clustering algorithm, everything is given. But this tab is very important. Can you see this graph? Lane B, Cowl, and this is the one green cluster. One cluster, another cluster with blue one, another cluster with red one. So there are 4 or 5 important clusters of authors which are working together and they are citing together like this way. And histograph, you can see the table. again, we need two-dimensional data, means two interfaces are needed for histograph. Social network, the collaboration network of world map. What is their collaboration network, and how the number of papers has been, which country has produced more. This is a collaboration, and you can see here, like this part of the map, China has produced more of the most of the document, and then this part is connected with the China, and the upper part of this is again connected with the China. And I'll take 2 more minutes. We'll show you this paper. We have written the methodology here. Then the second, documents and sources. You can see the number of documents. I have extracted the data into the Excel and created a graph, made a graph with the help of MXS Excel, number of articles and number of citations. And you can see the important journals, the growth of sources, which journals have started publication on particular theme. This was a paper based on wine tourism. What was this about? Most contributing author. Their H index, G index, total. This TC is about this total citation, starting year and everything. Most cited authors, countries and collaboration index. MCP and SCP are given here. MCP and SCP, multi-citation or multi-authored. You can see here. Countries with the total production, and world map on collaboration. Then cluster analysis I did with the help of VOSviewer. These were the clusters, and these are the ways how we can produce a good paper. Maybe there is some problem of formatting and everything. This has left with that part. Right. So this was from my side. If you have any specific question, there are lots of questions. I think there are about more than 10-12 questions. Yes. So somebody has asked, can you please repeat 2 clicks? I have already repeated. Okay. The question is from Ms. Bhavna, dataset tab, then main info. Okay, this was the answer of the above queries. If the Web of Science is paid database access not available, then it can be used. You need to visit nearer library, or maybe if you belong to Delhi, then Delhi University is having access. IIT Delhi is having access of Web of Science and Scopus, and they'll offer you, they'll help you. If you visit their librarian generally helps us. Okay, and the title of the paper which you have published, I have published about 2-3 articles, probably due to paucity of time. Maybe I can show you one more paper. This is the paper in R&R, Technology-Driven Tourism and Hospitality Industry. A bibliometric analysis. This is the paper which we have revised version. So I'll show you a bit in it. See this. The main subject journals, representative journals, Web of Science categories from different categories, their percentage. If you are interested, you can do a bit of manual work and then combine something insightful. The software generally produce the graphs and the plots which are available, which information is available with the software. But if you are like, software cannot replace humans, software cannot replace researcher. So we need to understand, and we need to produce some insightful figures, not directly offered by software. Again, a cluster analysis done with the help of VOSviewer. So these are the 2-3 papers which are done by me and my team, my friend. We are also doing one paper on rural tourism with the help of bibliometric analysis. We are also doing several other projects, and they'll get a good place. Okay, Namita ji is asking, sir, can you show the title? Okay, title of the paper, which this one. Web of Science is how Web of Science is shaping the research on publications and wine tourism. And bibliometric research. Okay, my screen is not shared. I'll just share it. This one is the article. Till I can take other questions. Okay, Ankita ji is asking, those of us who don't have access to the paid database, what can we do? In this time, most of us don't have access to the institutional computer network. I believe the easiest solution is, Ankita ji, is you can make friends in other universities who are having access to those, and they'll give you the databases. Earlier, when I was not having access to the databases, when I was doing PhD, I made friends at IIT or several other networks with the help of social media, Facebook. Like, this is the best use of Facebook and other platforms. You can make friends and you can ask them, like, can you please help me in extracting this database from this platform? And they'll do it generally. I believe I have also answered the question of Rituji. I missed the initial part session. Could you please get the recording? Yes, the organizers will send the recording to everyone. If the recording will also be available on my YouTube channel. So if you want to look at there, and if Web of Science paid database access not available, then it can't be used. Yes, I just told you the secret of of the trade. When I learned bibliometric analysis, I was not even having the access of any database, but I used my use friends for good cause, use Facebook or Instagram for good cause. Like Facebook is not meant only to chat or only to make new friends. Like, this could be used in other dimensions. Ms. Lina ji is asking Web of Science paid database. Okay, this I have just answered. Ms. Ekta has a question, sir. How can we export data from Google Scholar? You can visit my YouTube channel. Sorry, due to paucity of time, will not be having sufficient time here. And you can see, look at the videos based on publish or perish. Can you please repeat once how to reach the search of paper level? This will be very challenging search of paper level. I think this will not be possible right now. You can see the video later. Can you export the data from Google Scholar same way? Not in the same way, but you can export the data from Google Scholar. See the videos of publish or perish. Most of the videos are in Hindi. If you find it difficult, then you have to search other sources. What is the different term are used in the same concept? What is the different terms are used for the same concept? For example, generational diversity or multi-generational workforce. Using both the same term will generate the different search result. If searching will both the term is important. I find searching both the term will be important. Then you need to merge both the databases extracted, because even if you search one or even if you search both, if you search one, the only one, the papers or the keywords will based on one title or based on one keywords you will be able to extract. But if you search everything, then papers can be extracted by both the databases, both the keywords, and this will help you. Can we combine the literature review and bibliometric? Yes, you can combine, but I personally believe make it a separate section in literature review, showing or saying that you want you can say you want to show the importance of your research field. That is why you have incorporated this as a separate section. Rest. Thank you, everyone. If you have any other question, please post in the chat box. Thank you, everyone. Thanks a lot. Thank you for being a wonderful audience. Thank you, organizing committee. That's it from my side.
Thank you so much, sir, for your insightful and enlightening session. Now, I would like to ask our moderator, Ms. Pooja, to address any questions if they might have left unanswered.
Oh my God, I'm sorry. I didn't know that we have a moderator also. I'm sorry, Pooja.
No, thank you so much, sir. I think we are as an institution, we are very obliged and appreciate you that on the topic, on the time you have spared with us. But there are obviously 2-3 questions. I think you have missed it. I'll write it down that one.
Please,
So
please.
there's a question from Ramesh. How is it different from alt matrix?
Alt matrix.
Alt matrix.
Okay. Let me pose this question to, question back to Rameshji. Rameshji, what do you understand by term alt matrix? Because it is used altogether in a different sense. So alt matrix is completely different ways, the completely different methodologies, completely different sciences in fact. And alt matrix is using different tools also. Bibliometrics and alt matrix are two different ways. Bibliometric is science in common. Alt matrix is a software which is generally popularly used by this Routledge publication house, and it is more or less alt matrix cannot be used for science in general, because Web of Science or maybe Scopus, they do not have one source or one way of publications. Alt matrix is one package which is mostly used by I have personally seen on most of the journals on Routledge. Less used by journals from Emerald, less used by journals from Springer also. Most of the times you will find alt matrix at Routledge. Yes, it is recording the same databases, but those are having limited access. Like Web of Science or Scopus in general can configure the things.
I hope the answer would be satisfactory for Ramesh. And so the next question is from Dr. Shafaq. How to use these sites if you do not have institutional IDs? I think that is a more generalized one.
That's a more generalized one, but I have already answered this. You can make good friends. Like maybe this Shahid Bhagat Singh College or Commerce Association does have the access of Scopus and other databases. You can make friends at their platform. You can use some students and you can get the data of your use.
And so one more question from Arjuni.
Yes.
Should we use any criteria to include and exclude papers if papers are in too much of abundance?
Yes, those could be used. Say, for example, you can say like we have excluded the papers which are having 0 citations. The paper which has just published in 2020 does not have any citation is okay, but paper which is published in 2010 and does not get any citation, which means the paper is not a good paper, right? So you can exclude the papers maybe based on like we have reduced, say for example, you have database of 2000 papers and you find like you are not able to confine your database, confine your papers. Then you can say like we are excluding the papers which are having citations less than 10. Or you can say we are removing or extracting or excluding the papers based on their impact factor of the journal. So we'll consider only the journals which are having any impact factor, not the journals which does not have any impact factor.
Okay, so the next question is from Dr. Geeta. Which source may be more appropriate? Is it Web of Science or Scopus?
I find if your area is very niche and you find less number of papers, then you should use the Scopus. And if your area is very broad and you find ample number of papers, then you should use Web of Science, because in general, in coverage, Web of Science is having lesser number of journals. So generally Web of Science produces lesser number of articles also. So for the same rural tourism, if I use double quotes and I search on Web of Science, I find about 800 or 700 something papers. But if I use the same term at Scopus, I get more than 2200 documents. So you need to understand your area, your theme. If it is niche, then it is better to use a Scopus. If it is a very popular topic, very popular theme, then better to use Web of Science.
There is another one pop-up question is from Abhinav. Can we get even paper which are having correlation values and which are those are not having the correlation values?
Please pardon the question.
So can we get even papers which are having correlation values and those which are not?
I don't think this question is related to bibliometric. This question is related to meta-analysis.
Okay.
Meta-analysis needs paper based on papers which are having correlation value. Only this is a completely different section. Initially, I discussed like there are 3 terms: SLR, meta, and bibliometric analysis. Meta is completely different branch. This question is more relevant in the section of meta-analysis.
Okay. So last question, I think we'll take it. That is from Deepika Upadhyay. In terms of accessibility, is bibliometric analysis paper preferred over a systematic review papers?
I personally see, if I personally look at, I have already discussed this concern. Systematic literature review is a tree. Bibliometric analysis is one branch, meta-analysis in one branch, and there are several other branches also. So systematic analysis uses framework. Bibliometric analysis does not use any framework. It is a scope of journal. Say, for example, I believe you need to look at some of the example. I'll take another 2 minutes. Say, for example, here is a paper. You can see this paper. The 30 years of Journal of Business and Still Marketing. This is a paper which is written. The theme is only journal. Right. The second paper is again based on 50 years of some other journal, 50 years of European Journal of Marketing. The third paper is bibliometric analysis of highly cited articles of ecosystem service. In first two papers, we have written the article on journal, but in this third paper, we are writing article on ecosystem service. Look at the third paper, a bibliometric analysis on research on MCDM. The papers which have already used the approach of MCDM. So you are looking for, your approach is, MCDM approach is used by, like you can use structural equation modeling in tourism academia. You can say confirmatory factor analysis used by marketing academia. This one is very interesting. Paper is not published and will be published in 2020 itself. This is still in press. Since 1950 to 1999, they have looked at a large scale term co-occurrence analysis of scientific literature and psychology. So you can research, you can identify a theme, you can identify a tool, you can identify a journal which could be written. SLR is, I believe personally, completely different. SLR can be done only on a theme or a topic or a title. Whereas bibliometric is not limited to a theme. Bibliometric is limited to unlimited world. Like, you can use a domain, you can use a subject, you can use a tool, you can use a journal, you can use maybe a citation of Philip Kotler, or maybe who is using, which countries are using Philip Kotler book of marketing by Philip Kotler, or which countries are using more book of Jagdish Seth of marketing. So this is like opinion based. This is unlimited way of looking at scientific literature.
Okay. I'm confident we will all apply your thoughts with orientation in a bibliometric. So that's it from my side. Over to Aarti ma'am.
Thank you so much, sir, for answering all the questions. And with this, we come to an end with the question and answer session. I would now like to request Ms. Aarti Saini, our convener of Commerce Association, to present the vote of thanks. Also, we request all the participants to get ready for a virtual group photo after the vote of thanks by Aarti ma'am. Thank you.
Before I propose formal vote of thanks, I would like to apologize for the technical glitch because of which we could not send email and Zoom link to every participant. So we worked it out, but I suppose they must have thought it to be too late to join. So I'm extremely sorry for that. So respective principal, sir, Dr. Anil Sardana, teacher in charge, Dr. Kalpana Gupta, ma'am. Our next teacher in charge, Dr. Anil Kumar. Speaker of the day, Dr. Rahul Pratap Singh. Moderator, Ms. Pooja. Dear participants, I can see actually very eminent, participants over here who have, written very well and actually growing in research area. Dr. Rudra, Raiswa ma'am. There are lots of people, Jasprit ma'am. I'm so happy to see all of them over here. It's just like, friend forums instead of a professional forum, which I'm finding it over here, but I'm glad all of you are here. My student team, Anirban, Kashish, Arnav, Ashita, Bhavesh, who actually made this webinar possible. So in today's session, we learned that bibliometric methods are basically used for objective and transparent assessment of strength and weakness in research performance, and also monitoring the scientific development. We understand that bibliometric analysis forces us to rethink, and it provides challenging new insights. So Definitely, our Gaurav sir, you have helped us out to understand how to do the bibliometric analysis, and that was actually a need of time because this is not the time to do a normal research. It's a time for us to do the hybrid research, which is a combination of lots of research techniques with lot of new scientific methods to be used. So with this, we come to the end of the session. We request you to please provide your inputs for future webinars also. And yes, there were requests for many papers, which you just showed, Gaurav sir. So we may request you so that we can provide that to our participants.
I'll surely send you.
Thank you so much, sir. And the presentation and the also the video.
Yes.
So that for the video, like you can watch over YouTube channel also, as Gaurav sir also said that he will be also uploading video on his YouTube channel, so you can probably see it over there as well. So we'll be sharing the link of everything over here. And with this, thank you everyone, and over to